is kind of basic mathematics. The more who we are and how we got here, the more we were mobilized.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, everybody?
What's going on, everybody?
It's Thursday.
Brother Empowerment Day.
Right. So if this is your first time watching, this is Brother Empowerment, which means that this is a show that's designed to uplift our brothers. This is not one of those bashing shows. Our true desire is to help our brothers to break through without breaking. But before we get into our guests, because I see y'all see that, bro, how was your week?
Man, this week has been pretty interesting, man. I've had some really dope times, had some really dope company, and really, man, have just been doing a lot of writing and self-reflection, but also just a lot of fellowshipping too, man. Just really tapping in with my brothers and sisters. So it's been really dope, man. And I've been really just doing some groundwork for one of my friends. She's moving out here pretty soon. So I don't want to say all the business, but those of you who know, you know. But yeah, so I've been helping her with that. And so, yeah.
I'm glad you said something because I was about to say the whole name.
Yeah.
Country, I've been put it out there.
Yeah, no, but yeah, it's been a great week, bro. Like, I can't really complain. This week went by kind of slow, but I know that when we here on Brother Empowerment Day, the week is pretty much coming to an end. So, or at least getting to the weekend. So, how about you, bro?
Well, this week actually has been pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been a really good week. Love is a Parable constantly continues to grow, man. It's getting to that place where we talk about it all the time, like that thing that wakes you up.
Mm-hmm.
So I've really been in a good place. And I think it's also because my wife and I and the girls, we came off of a getaway.
Yep.
We stole away to the beach just to spend some alone family time.
Yeah.
And it was great to kind of just be a family.
Yeah.
And I was going to say to be nobody, but we always meeting somebody somewhere.
Yeah.
So that part didn't happen, but still, it was great to do that. But enough about me, man. Bro, we got a guest.
We sure do.
We got Remick on. Tell the people
about yourself.
Right.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Remick Benice. I am half of the tandem of the podcast First Hand Business Self from New York originally. And I'm happy to be with y'all. What's going on?
So where do they find you and catch up on all the podcasts and all of that good stuff?
Oh, yes. You can log on to either podbean.com, and we're also available on Stitcher and iTunes if you want to. And that's First Hand Bids Itself. It's pretty much, we talk about a whole lot of issues, pretty much everything.
Yeah. For those who don't know, my brother who's been on the show, twice.
Yeah, 2 times.
He's been on the show 2 times. Out in Brooklyn now, Rodney White. Right. He connected me to Voodoo, who also is the other half that he's talking about, and they're doing some big things up there in New York. So Brooklyn is in the house.
Always.
So it's pretty good. We're excited because, guys, soon we're going to be on their podcast. So love is going to continue to spread everywhere.
I forgot to say too, mention that I went on a little weekend getaway myself to VA to visit some family. So shout out to my cousin Slap, his lovely wife Megan, my other cousin, Uncle Anton, Aunt Veronica, and one of my other day ones, Brandon, as well as his parents, who are like my second set of parents for me. So shout out to all of them.
Yep, went to the state next door.
Yep.
We went to the state the other next door, really, because we went down to South Carolina.
Yeah.
So you want to say who we got on?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. So we got Lupita Bay who's on. What's up? Hi.
Hey.
Mama Garnett is on. What's up, Mama Garnett?
Hey, Ma.
Deshaun is on. What's up, Deshaun, bro? Ricky is on. Ricky Phillips, what's up, Ricky? Sis is on. Lita Garnett, hey. Rashia is on. Hey, Rashia. Let's see. Kim Ross is on. Hey, Kim. Joy is on. What's up, Joy? How you doing? I think that's all I can see for right now.
That's all you can see for right now. So yeah, be sure to share this, everybody. Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. We got to talk about some of the things that actually happened this week.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, because I was talking to you when the news dropped that we lost the Black Panther.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chad. Yeah. Yeah, Chadwick, man. Yeah. Sean is from YouTube. What's going on, Sean? Yeah. There's so many things that I can say about Chad, but I said it kind of in one of my posts. Chad did more than just bring like a Black person from, it wasn't just about him being a Black hero, because we've had Black heroes before from small towns. A lot of people don't know that Eartha Kitt, she's from a small town called North South Carolina, which is outside of Orangeburg. And then we got the guy who played Luke Cage, Mike Coulter. He's actually from a small town called St. Matthews. That's actually the same town that Viola Davis is from. So it's weird. So it appears that South Carolina is producing most of the Black heroes. But Chad also brought royalty.
Yeah.
He brought royalty to that. So a hero who was royalty and who was also Black did something major. And then from being from the small town of Anderson, South Carolina, it instilled hope into a lot of individuals that small towns, you don't have to go anywhere to really make it big, and you don't have to compromise who you are. You can be true to your roots and you still can make it. Nichelle said, what is she, chopped liver?
Hey, Shell. I
don't like chopped livers.
I don't either. No, I couldn't see.
I
couldn't see everybody who's on. So sorry about that. But hey, and again, thank you for these wonderful bracelets. These are amazing. So
yeah,
if y'all don't know,
pick up mine.
Shell, throw your business page or in the your Instagram page in the comments so people can know. So she crafted these dope bracelets, and she does waist beads. So, and she does hair.
Yes, she does. So now that we talked about the losing of Chadwick, guys, a couple of things that are very important is that if you haven't done your census, make it your due diligence to do your census. It's very important because we talk a lot about representation. By not doing the census, you run the risk of not having representation in your particular area. So you definitely want to make sure you're doing that, which ties right into the other part. Vote. I'm not telling you who to vote for, but I am asking you to exercise your voice, because it's very important for you to do that, because it goes hand in hand with the representation. A lot of people forget that we don't live in a democracy. We actually live in a republic, which means that we have individuals that we've selected to represent us. So if you don't do your due diligence by making sure you, one, are represented by doing the census, and then two, by making sure your voice is heard, you may run the risk of getting misrepresentation. And we gotta do our part, or there's no sense in arguing about the fact that there is poor representation of the needs that we have. That is my soapbox on that. And I definitely want to tell you, I do know for the state of North Carolina, you can go ahead and do, if you're worried about COVID, you can definitely do your mail-in registration. It actually opens tomorrow, but at the same time, you get an opportunity to also send it by mail if you don't trust that. So I definitely want you guys to go ahead and take advantage of those opportunities, because representation and your voice really does matter. All right. So we got the other part of the duo that's coming on.
Okay.
Hello.
He made it.
Wow.
And his backdrop is better than ours.
How y'all feeling, man?
So
You got
Sorry
it?
about the delay. I just got a new laptop today, and it's actually my first time having a laptop as an adult. So I don't know what I'm doing.
Excuses, whatever.
I was about to say the same thing.
I'm saying the pillars and monuments of nothingness. Boo. Whatever, man.
So Sean, Sean said Chadwick was a special human. He carried himself on and off the camera with so much class.
Yeah.
Michelle said, thank y'all for supporting her. Adorned by Bella.
Yeah, that's the Instagram page.
Who's Bella? But don't do what Trump said and vote by mail and vote in person. Yes, please don't vote twice. Not only will your vote not happen, you will be going to the pen. Yeah. So please, let's not do that, okay, guys? We don't want. We definitely don't want that to happen. So let's not do that, okay?
That's right. You can vote early and vote often, but often by once.
Right. Please.
Factual.
One time.
Please. Every 4 years for the presidential and every 2 years for all the other ones. Please don't vote more than that. So, Remick already introduced part of your organization and talked a little bit about them. So let the people know who you are. I was about to call you Voodoo, but you got Santo up there, and your backdrop is still dope. But.
Yeah, for real.
This is my wife's painting, actually. Original artwork by my wife, so I'm very proud of her.
Okay.
I go by Santo Voodoo. That's the nickname. Brooklyn born and raised. Regular 9-to-5er type of guy, and Remick and I do our podcast as our used to be a hobby, and now we're pushing it towards more of a career goal thing. You know what I'm saying? We're going to bigger and better things. We're really pushing the envelope as far as content is concerned and what type of messaging we want to put out there. We started off, I would say, more so just two good brothers kicking it, cracking jokes, you know what I mean? Having something to do with our spare time. And now we have evolved into more of a community-based platform. Mm-hmm. We like to talk to people that we literally care about in our day-to-day, people that we know are contributors to the community at large, and people that are moving the community forward, moving the culture forward. So we talk to actors, artists, doctors, teachers, just anybody that looks like us, represents us in the best way possible, and has a positive message to put out to our listeners.
Right. So just pretty much just to piggyback off of that, overall we're what we call the art and culture and lifestyle show. Now right. I will give you this. We are an adult show, so shout out to anybody who would like to listen to the show. Just want to put that out there for the sake of everybody.
There's so many things that ran through my mind just then, but I'm gonna just leave it at that.
Oh no, it's not that adult. Oh no.
I'm just saying. You can't don't mess up what's in my mind.
No, it's for adults, but we don't talk like sometimes we're not talking children things. You know what I'm saying? Right. You know what? Never mind, man. You need to calm down, bro. You know, seriously. Nah, man. You know, this ain't no Love is a Parable after hours and everything. So, that's a different podcast.
Listen, you said it. I'm trying to tell you, man. You let stuff come. Our imagination go quick.
I hear you.
That might be titled Love is a Deplorable. That's not exactly Love is a Parable. Slightly different show. Slightly different demographic.
There'll be OnlyFans page coming soon.
Can one of y'all type the name of the podcast in the comments, because Sean is trying to find it now.
Yeah, put where they can find y'all. You know, get your easier. If you don't,
you can find us. You can find us on the iTunes. You can find us on Stitcher, Podbean app, all that good stuff.
Yeah, Remick told us, but they want to know the name of it, so they can. You can put in the comments on the side,
bro. So you can just click.
First 10 business up. Yeah, I typed it in there.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. It's in there.
Cool beans. So now the first topic is the strong Black woman narrative. What are your thoughts on it? We just went right in there. Yep. Right in there.
Wow. Let me get that question one more time. You broke up on me.
The strong Black woman narrative.
See, that's not really a softball. We gotta really let's chop into that nice and slow. You know what I'm saying? I like the narrative, but at the same time, I'm okay with the reality sometimes. that you don't have to show up with a cape to be a strong black woman. Like but at the same time, if you got everything going for you and you nice and shiny and all those things, I'm all for you. You know what I'm saying? I applaud the strong black woman, but at the same time, I'm okay with people who are women who are still a work in progress. You know, so what? I'm sorry. You want to jump in on this, or 'cause I want to say this?
It's let's see here. This is something I actually was talking about with some random young women that decided to film me in their documentary a couple weeks ago about
Okay.
what do black women mean to me, right? And what I told them was I only know the narrative of strong black women. That's the only thing I was ever raised around. That's the only thing I ever saw. And me being of Afro Latinx descent, being from Puerto Rico. Now, I've seen both strong women, as in my mother, my aunts, my grandmother, and I've been with a strong woman. It's going to be 8 years on Monday. Strong black woman, and she's done nothing but thank you. She's done nothing but prop me up, and all the black women that I surround myself with, my close friends, creative partners, they've propped me up in more ways than I can count. So as far as the narrative is like, what do you mean? How do I feel about the narrative? Do I feel it's a good thing, a bad thing, or does it exist? Does it not exist? What do you mean exactly?
Good feelings and
Right.
all. Everything, bro.
Okay, so it's just it literally is all encompassing for me.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, well, here's the
You
thing.
gonna say something?
Can I let me get in here for a second? Like, I'm okay. Like, just to get back on his point. Like, yes, I was raised by strong black woman, my mother, and everything. Like, I have three sisters. I consider them to be strong black women. And things I'm all up for the upliftment of black women because they are truly on the background of saying the black family and black people in here, especially here in America, possibly in the whole diaspora. True. My thing is this: I believe sometimes that we can even though you're told to be one thing and you may not necessarily be there, or you're aspiring to it, and you have not reached it yet. What I'm saying, you may think that that's all you can be. I'm like, no, like you can be who you need to be. You can be you can have strong black woman traits, and then you might really like to listen to WAP. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it is it is what it is. But I'm not going to take that away from you. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't make you any less. And there could be days where you just don't want to deal with. You may be dealing with the world, and that doesn't make you any less strong. Because you're allowed to be human while being a black woman. If that make any sense. Did anybody hear me on that?
Oh, it looks like it's just me and you.
Oh wow, is it our podcast now? Oh,
This is officially
we
First
stole the
and
show.
Business Self podcast.
Oh hey, how did that
I
happen?
Santo Voodoo.
I'm Reverend Benice. What's going on with this stolen platform? And we didn't even try. We didn't even try. How are we stealing people's platform? Like, this is Facebook theft. The Russians are involved. Like, hello?
This is
Like,
loud.
where's the
Loud stuff.
hmm?
Is there anybody out there?
I don't know.
Is
I
there
don't know.
anybody in the chat room?
Well, I don't know. I'm not even logged into the chat room actually, so I'm not even sure.
I could see. I put Okay. I don't know. I could see comments and stuff. Uh-oh. Now I'm going. How does this? I don't understand how any of this works. Computer restarted. Okay. So is it just me now? Is this the Santo Voodoo show? Fantastic. I'm just gonna sit here and wait. I suppose I don't actually know what's going on. Yeah. So how you guys doing? I guess I'll just talk to the chat room in the meantime. You guys got any other questions? I'm here for you. You know, I got a new laptop. I guess we could do like some show and tell stuff. That's always fun. I guess I could do that. So that's cool. Nice little laptop. That's neat, right? Gonna be doing some video editing on for our show, or we're gonna be having a visual podcast in the next couple months. So that'll be fun. And yeah, a lot of people in this chat room here. That's cool. We had a chat room on our show, and it's like kind of shaky. This I like this platform. Whatever this little doohickey is, this StreamYard.com stuff. This is neat. I think we might use this. Uh, quick question to anybody in the chat room. I see Louis Garnett. How you doing, Ms. Joy, Rashay Reed, Michelle Lay, Lupita Bay, Deshaun Nettles, Cordell Gibson, for Ricky Phillips. Yeah. How y'all doing? Peace. Yeah, I missed the first 5 minutes. Is cursing allowed in here? Because like saying stuff like "neat" and "G Willikers" is not exactly like my stick. I actually swear quite a lot, so I just want to know everybody's comfort level, and hopefully you guys don't have like this show on like a block party speaker in your house with your children running around or your grandchildren. That wouldn't be ideal for their very young ears. No cursing. See? Important stuff. This is important stuff. Stuff I need to know. I have. See, this is why you ask. This is why we ask. Let's see.
Who are we back? Yeah, no cussing.
Oh,
Whoa.
what the heck?
Man. Yo, in the middle of Remy's thing, the system crashed and said they encountered an error and it restarted. So we sitting here like, this is messed up. But the good thing is it didn't lose anybody. So we definitely sorry about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But look, we're going to keep it rolling because we used to these type of things.
Yeah, we're just going to give them an extra 10 minutes at the end.
Right.
That's all.
So we was talking about the Black woman narrative, and I definitely agree with both of you guys. I think that the Black woman narrative is not something that we necessarily, I don't think it's something that you have to be other than being yourself. I do think that some women have confused being a strong Black woman with a persona versus realizing every day that you live, you are a strong Black woman and there's nothing extra you have to do other than be exceptionally you. My brother has a great saying, and it's actually on one of his shirts that I love so much. And I talked to my daughters about it when he said, saying Black girl magic is like saying magic. And so we have to stop, trying to dumb down our excellence in a way to make it seem like it's something extraordinary when it's our natural. It's normal for us to be supernatural.
Right.
And so we don't have to change that. So the strong Black woman narrative can be a persona, but it's definitely who our women are every single day in their lives. Because let's talk about statistics for a minute. America alone is in the top 10 most dangerous place for women, and is actually in the higher percentile in the top 5 for Black women.
Yeah.
So every day that a Black woman is surviving, you already know that she has strength in her. That's why we don't subscribe to like some of those negative adjectives when speaking of our women, because every day they got to live through something that a lot of us don't have to deal with.
Yeah, that depending on
Right.
who was talking about it, sometimes the strong black woman narrative, quote unquote, is used as a detractor versus something that is positive. And it also sometimes is looked at as the only thing that black women have going for them, is that they're strong. When really, like my brother said, there's so much magic within black people and black women that they are strong, and they're also everything else. They're versatile. They're sensual. They're beautiful. They're intelligent. They're ambitious. They're driven. All those things are naturally them. Strong is just one of those things, but sometimes it gets pushed as the biggest thing or the only thing when that's not true at all. That is one
Right.
thing. Many.
I go with the whole thing, whereas I think we put that the visual of what a strong black woman looks like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, you think Oprah, Beyonce. I'm like, no, you're like your grandmama, a strong black woman. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, and she probably don't even know how the internet work, but that doesn't stop her from being strong. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It didn't stop her from getting this far. There's also the narrative that a black woman has to have kids and everything like that. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, not necessarily. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Who knows? Like maybe she's working on things. Maybe there's things that you're not privy to certain knowledge about her physical her presence and everything like that. But that doesn't stop her from being strong.
Yeah.
Like strength is a multifaceted thing where we look at it and it's like, oh well, she's got to have corner office. She got her own money. Got her own house. Don't allow anybody to speak up for. I'm like, okay, that's nice and all, great. It's shiny, but like deep down inside, like that's not what makes you strong. Vulnerability is strong, or allowing yourself to be vulnerable is strong. You know what I'm saying? And showing that you don't sing. I mean, the words having anybody, or whether they're black woman, white woman, or anybody who in a time of struggle says the words "I don't know" and asks for help. I think that's strong because it shows that this is beyond me. And I need some help to get me somewhere. You know what I'm saying? I think that's key.
So,
To add to
someone
what
in
you
the
were
chat
saying,
room,
Miss
yeah,
Joey
Miss
said
Joy,
a
yeah, I
lot
was
of
about to say, she
strong
just
black,
wrote something. A lot of strong black women are tired, right?
right?
Now, that is a very strong point, and something that I was pondering as you guys were talking about. I don't. I think what we have done from 1619 to now, especially for our black women, is that we have not only had this magic stuff imposed upon our women and the men, but mostly upon the women, right? Like witch doctors and spiritual women and all that shit that used to go on back in the day that they would force upon our women, right? So that type of old black magic. So it's not necessarily in the positive sense. They would have them do their little voodoo rituals to help their white children get over polio or whatever the hell they got going on, right? Whatever the heck they got going on. Excuse me. But I feel like our women nowadays utilize black girl magic, black woman magic. It's a survival mechanism. You
Mm-hmm.
know, there's the whole societal norms, the whole American structure is built upon the backs of black men and especially black women, especially
Mm-hmm.
black women. But it has never been for black women in any sense or shape. Like you said, you spent some of the statistics earlier of the detriments of health that black women suffer through, and survival rates and stuff like that. So I feel like some guys that I know, they take the whole strong black woman narrative as being too aggressive, sometimes overexerting, overreaching, or overcompensating. But I've always seen it as a survival mechanism tool that we have
Mm-hmm.
instilled within our culture and within ourselves so that we can mentally not break. Like how as our people, the fact that we are not broken. I mean, we are in a lot of respects. Don't get it twisted. We have our issues because of our history, but the fact that we made it this far, even still, is a miracle in of itself, and some would even consider it to be magical. But is that based in reality, or is it that based in trying to keep the human psyche alive?
Mhm.
I think it's a combination of both, to be honest,
Mhm.
because you have people who are not black who can't seem to fathom how is it that the black race is still surviving. There have been studies that have actually been done because if you look at the black race and the things that we have been through, we should have been, exterminated, but for some strange reason, we come back stronger than ever before. There was a study done on that. There is also a study that is still being done on why do we secrete so much melanin? And they're trying to figure out, is that the source of our magic as well? So there are things out there that they are trying to figure out. So it is to those who are not black, we call it everyday living. And how we know that, because try to explain racism to a person who has never experienced racism will show how magical we really are. Because when I have had my white counterparts, when they get the revelation of racism and bias and how they go off on like the deep end, and we're like, chill out. We've been doing this. And they get so upset and so mad. We're like, calm down. Because we have the ability to adapt and adjust. And it's not just surviving. It is a place where something deep inside of us shows us how to maneuver very quick. Absolutely. We are the inventors of code switching.
I was about to touch on that. We go into code switching, whereas this is what we do. You know what I'm saying?
And the funny thing is, while you're talking about code switching, I'm going to throw this topic out because it's how to deal with racism in the workplace, which goes right into code switching. So, Remy, you have it.
Oh no, I mean, I was going to touch on like code switching because I remember taking this African vernacular English course, African American vernacular English course, or as I think they like to call it Ebonics at the time, but it's African American vernacular English. You know what I'm saying? Where we talk about code switching, tonal semantics. You know what I'm saying? We knew how to which dates back to pretty much the slave days. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like even though the languages were broken, you know what I'm saying, they knew you had folks who they just knew okay, well, here's how we speak about certain things when we're around amongst mixed company, and here's how we speak. You know what I'm saying, when we're amongst folk, and all that stuff. And it was just one of these things, that and we just know, and code switching goes through, y'all North Carolina, there's certain things y'all say, you know what I'm saying, and it's just the gist of wait, what the hell do you mean by that? You know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, he just meant this. We get that far with it. But to bring it back to the whole idea of I do I'm always fascinated by watching one of your white counterparts or white coworkers finally lift the veil and be like, oh, is that why y'all do that? I never understood. And I'm like, well, you've been living in a world in which everything plays for you, everything works for you. You know what I'm saying? And I'm almost just I and my narrative is almost just a small part of it. In fact, I've got to learn more about your history than you do mine. So that makes us so much more stronger as knowing what the hell's going on around us. You know what I'm saying? Whereas we got to know your part and our part too. You know what I'm saying? I've always found that fascinating. You know what I'm saying? Living our lives, as black people in America.
Sean said he read a book on the Delaney sisters having their say. Right. It's a great read and shows what strength through adversity is. Those ladies were remarkable people. I actually agree with you. One of the things, it's funny because there are certain triggers we all have. And I never subscribed to the Ebonics. The Ebonics thing bothers me because first of all, like we tell people, if this is your first time watching the show, if you go back and look, there is no official language in America.
Exactly.
America does not have an official language. America does not have an official religion. So there is no such thing as standard English in America.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there are over 27 different dialects that are native to America. And so with that, that is not broken English or improper English. That is actually a language and subgroup and a type of language style that we just don't know about. So when you say things like finna isn't a word, finna is a word. Fixing a plate is a word.
Right.
So all of these are actual terms. And when we talk about double negatives, to be honest, subject verb and subject verbs didn't always agree. Those are fairly new communicative styles. So when you talk about proper English and all of those things, there is no such standard.
It's super subjective. It's super subjective.
Yeah, it's super subjective. And I think a lot of people, especially if you're not like involved or very studied in in the study of language, language is just about conveying a message. If the other party that you're talking to understands what you're saying, then that's language. That's it. It doesn't matter what the dialect
the whole group knows. Yeah, as long as the whole group knows what's going on, they know what's going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I will tell you firsthand.
So there's like
I
no
dealt with
hierarchy or like standard is what I mean. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no better or worse. There's no way there could be a better or worse of speaking English. It's impossible.
Oh yeah,
Right.
I like this talent right here, where England has almost 40 different English dialects. I'm like, yeah, exactly. Because you know what? I remember this one time. It just kind of blew my mind. If you ever look up the word pound in the dictionary, look it up. It's at least 21. It means 21 things, depending on or in what situation. You know what I'm saying? It could be money. It could be weight. You know what I'm saying? It could be a term of endearment. I'm like, what? And it was just a whole lot. And I was like, wow. So the more you put all these rules and everything like that, it's great if you're trying to get into the do the SATs, or you know what I'm saying, or you try to elaborate language as we go. But for the most part, you got to get back to the square of it. Like, what does it all mean? And who am I talking to? That's it.
Right.
That's why people are so confused when they talk about standardized testing. Mm-hmm. First of all, standardized testing is subjective to that state. Mm-hmm. Some may share the same one, but it's not standardized. It's standardized for that state, and it's so misleading.
Right.
So
context is king. Context is king. Absolutely.
And to go back to like the racism thing in the workplace, I've dealt with it, and the truth of the matter is, I teach on it, so I talk about it. So I don't care about any of that. We have to. This is one thing for my people of color, and then the allies and the advocates. You're not the banner for all things racism. You know that, right? Racism is so big and so large and so wide. There are so many different arms of racism. Don't try to go in there and teach about all things racism. That's where you mess up. Just talk about your experiences and talk about things there are certain things that are standard across the board. Mm-hmm. But when you start trying to tackle racism as a whole,
no,
it's just because it's a white person that don't like you ain't racism either. Now, come on now.
Then there's that part.
Now listen, it's some that just don't like you now. Now there is true racism, but we can't say everybody is racist. Like just because you don't get certain things and you got an attitude sometimes. Now that ain't racism. Now we got to be fair, and we also got to be honest. Because we use racism as an emotional thing, it lessens when the true events truly take place, and we could risk a minority or a black brother and sister's life because of somebody lessening it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
What's up, Kerwin, bro?
Y'all don't know Superman, but y'all will know him soon.
Yeah.
All right. Peace, family. Peace.
What's going on? What you about to say?
I was about to say, like, but I always get this thing where it's like, where people say like, oh, so and so played the black card, or they play the race card, and I'm like, look, first of all, it's not that I'm playing the card. It's not to say that I'm playing the card. It's more so that I'm not really sure as to like what's stopping me from this moment. If let's say if there's a standard and all four people have met the standard and I'm one of the four, and yet three are being risen and passed on, and yet I'm being held back as to like why am I being held back? So at that point, I'm gonna have to pull. I'm gonna pull out that black card, especially if everybody else, is white. I look at it at that point as, hold on, what's going on here? It only makes sense when other things don't. It's standard is because like these are not the standards. I didn't make up the standards, but like you tell me, it's like when these kids get mad when they don't get into these universities now. And it's like, oh well, some schools are making up for it with these affirmative action pushes. I'm like, no, like this kid like bust his butt, what I'm saying, and got 1,400 on the SAT, and pretty much is salutatorian and is pretty much in every club in the school, so much so that by the time they leave the school, they're walking out with the janitor. So I'm like, some people are busting their butts out there. You know what I'm saying? So, so it's not say that that you push it. Now, you're right. Some people do use it for the sake of saying, well, here's me. What about me? I need to get picked, and that's a sad case. But for those who don't look at the merits of like who has who's gotten on and elevated themselves to like either valedictorian of Princeton, or what I'm saying, the CEO of some multinational corporation. My thing is like you need to look at their background. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, so that's just me. Like, not to talk. Oh, go ahead.
I was going
to talk about. I was going to make my a point about strong black women again. I was like, shout out to like I was thinking about Condoleezza Rice the other day. Like Condoleezza Rice is a classically trained pianist. I never knew this, and she speaks Russian. Mm-hmm. How outstanding is that? I mean, don't get me wrong. Was it politics aside? Yeah. She worked with what I'm saying, a president of which I don't necessarily care for, but that doesn't mean nothing. That don't take away from what I'm saying, her magic. Her black magic.
Yeah.
And I mean that's kind of great. I'm like, she speaks Russian. She's fluent in Russian. Like that's crazy. But whatever. But I'm sure somebody out there is calling her, everything but the child of God. What I'm saying, and everything, and still thinks she's a affirmative action hire.
Well, we'll talk about that too, because that's whenever you want to talk about racism, we also got to talk about the responses of racism. Mm-hmm. And so we in America have this unique thing that anytime that there is a Black woman who becomes extremely successful, we begin to come up with ways to tear her down. It hasn't happened to not one woman yet who has been extremely successful who's Black in America. And that is a response to not only racism, but it also shows the plight in which Black women have had to deal with, not only in community, but in the workforce. So they do drive home with a different sense of fire, because they have to bust glass ceilings too. And then once they really make it where they are the ceiling, we still try to chip away at that and then say they're not worthy of being that. Yeah. You was about to say something. Get in, come back, switch it.
No, I was just going to say, when we talk about racism in the workplace, one of the things that is, what's up, DP, man? So one of the things that we talk about when it comes to racism in the workplace that some other groups of folks might not really be acquainted with or know about are microaggressions. And microaggressions are really a constant thing, especially in the corporate environment. When, when you're talking about race in the workplace, because those things, microaggressions, as the name states, are small things, but those things can build up and also cause a lot of tension in the workplace and between certain people. So, and the exact definition for microaggression, a microaggression is a term used for brief and commonplace daily verbal, behavioral, or environmental indignities, whether intentional or unintentional, that communicate hostile, derogatory, or negative prejudicial slights and insults toward any group, particular culturally marginalized groups. Excuse me.
Right.
And so, and pretty much every Black person that I know, including myself, has had to deal with microaggressions in the workplace, and heck, maybe even leaving the workplace or at workplace functions or lunches or whatever. And so those are things that microaggressions get talked about, but I don't think not enough when it comes to racism in the workplace, because that contributes a large part to the feeling of being slighted or feeling that the workplace is prejudiced, because those things can be fleeting, but they can also be numerous. I mean, you can face microaggressions every day at work, and that's not something that's huge and just in everyone's face, but it's still there. So,
and that's another opportunity for support that we don't talk about.
Yeah,
is that I've been in every area in higher ed and in leadership. I never have been afraid to sacrifice my job, my livelihood for another. If it's wrong, it's wrong. And I've always spoke out against things that are wrong, because that's why I put in certain positions. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of times that we have allowed people to be in positions to kind of hang out and dry themselves. Mm-hmm. When asked if there is a hostile environment, oh no, everything is fine. No, it's time to speak up, because what's happening in the workplace happens at home, which means it happens in the street and all of that. If you're silent in the workforce, you can be silent in the community. So just like how people allowed Floyd to die, we are allowing people to die in the workplace. So it really is time for us to speak. So if you got a problem with people being silent, don't be silent in the workplace either.
That goes to what people place their value on. Some people will place their value on the fact that that they are in a position to work or be in that workplace. And thing is, they don't necessarily want to, they don't want to stick out. Or they'll accept, we get back on the microaggressions, whereas people after a while, people allow microaggressions to seep in and stay in, and it becomes accepted behavior. So everybody just shoos it off after a while and says oh, well, that's just Chuck. You know how he is, or you know what? Well, we know so and so's that's how she speaks to people. You know what I'm saying? I haven't made a big thing of it. And I'm like, no, you don't nip those things in the bud. Those things seep through, and it becomes something of just an accepted course of behavior. And after a while, they're like, oh, the pot boils after a while, and sooner or later somebody's gonna meet somebody downstairs for a little bit for a talk, which may be seen as reckless or a bit confrontational. But I'm like, look, I don't know how you get down and how you talk to people or how you put your finger in certain people's faces, but I don't get down like that.
Yes. Sean said Rice is one of the smartest people in the U.S. I personally think she is a bit hawkish, but I wouldn't debate her on it. That would be like challenging Mike Tyson in a boxing match. Speaking out against something wrong is what a leader does. Managers just manage. The managers just manage the process. Mm-hmm. People confuse managers with leadership too much.
Ooh, wow.
And David said, speak nephew, we deal with microaggression regardless of position. We have to use our position to speak up and suppress those behaviors.
For sure.
I agree with all of that.
Yeah.
Well said, all of it.
I would just like to clarify that for some strange reason, people who choose not to research tend to judge a person based off of their political party. Mm-hmm. And for some strange reason, we don't know how to separate why people make decisions from the character of a person.
Yeah.
Right.
And to add to that is that Sean would say she's a little hawkish, and I get what he means by that. But that
Right.
also would be a testament of a minority woman who thrived in an area that most minority women don't thrive in, which
Right.
it could be seen as hawkish, but she had to develop a level of tenacity so that she would have the audacity to speak up and do her part whenever it was time to do it. And so sometimes it comes by default after a while because she's been exercising and conditioning those muscles that she needed in order to be successful.
And I'm sure she's been called the B word too many times to count and everything. Like fair, whether fair or unfair. I'm like, but that's not nothing. That's not necessarily something that we as Black people should be like pushing into that narrative. I mean, like I said, I'm getting back to what you said. We got to learn how to separate the policy, like what they do from who they are. Because honestly, I had to step back and just, like I said, I had to go look at Condoleezza Rice again and just check out what was going on there. I'm like, okay, she was a provost at Stanford for a while. She was on the low key. She was trying to become the the commissioner of the NFL. And I was like, what is this about? I really got fascinated. Like she's a bad little something. That's a strong Black woman. And the thing is now here, like everybody's might say like, well, I don't like a policy. But guess what? That's okay. That's true. But at the same time, you got to look at how bad she is. These two things can be true at the same damn time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're like,
He said he was speaking in regards to war.
Okay.
Thanks for clarifying that, Sean. I definitely agree with that. And for some strange reason, people feel like, we are monolithic. Say it.
Monolithic?
There we go. I couldn't get that. The tongue was like, stay there. I'm not going to move. But they don't realize that people are fluid and we could be several different things at one time. That's why I don't really like when people start saying things like, I put it out there, they'll say, we all know Black Lives Matter. We know that Black Lives Matter too. We know exactly what that means.
Right.
But when you start saying Black nurses matter, Black cops matter, Black trans lives, that's all Black lives. And I don't care what other individual things are, but when you do it in mass droves, you're confusing the narrative and you're really making it hard for everybody who understands it. So I can fight for all the injustices at one single time. I mean, I'm not just one person. I don't do anything. That's like saying, okay, just breathe.
Yeah.
And then now I need you to speak, but stop breathing when you speak.
Yeah.
Chew your food, swallow, then drink. Who does that? Why do we honestly feel
I'll tell you,
that? We people. Yes, sir. What's about to say?
Riddles like that? Police speaking riddles like that. Put your hands up. Show me your ID. Stop moving. Pull your wallet out. License registration. Don't reach. They speaking riddles just like that.
Look, Mama has spoken. She said, instead of criticizing our successful women, be proud of them for making it to the position they're in.
Yeah.
I don't think that's necessarily our. That's not equality. Criticism comes with the job. It comes with the job. It is definitely our responsibility in this moment to make sure Biden and Harris get voted in. That's our responsibility.
But we can't say that.
Well, hold on. Whoa. Clean that up. Whoa.
That's my job, at least.
Okay.
We want to keep our 501c3.
I only speak for me.
Right.
That's my job. That's my job. Right. So, but there has to be room, and there has to be an evolution. I think we are so, as a people, new to being on the forefront of the political the political eyeball, like and right out front. We're so new to it. We're not used to having to think critical. We're not. It's not something we've had to do until Obama came around. Really, you know what I'm saying? We weren't on the forefront, but we didn't have Black Lives Matter movement and things of that nature. Um, we didn't have all these viral videos every day of our people getting, you know, slaughtered in the streets. We didn't have that. So we didn't have any political beliefs to really back people. Our people just kind of went with Democrats because that's what we do. I mean, that's always what we did. And it was a monolithic way of thinking. So, yes, we are not a monolith, and we have to be able to understand other perspectives. But we also need to understand that we are not used to hearing other perspectives at all. You know what I mean?
Well,
We're just not.
But not, you know, and that's you, my man. 50 grand, $2 on the side. Let me slide. However, I'm gonna differ with you right here. Here's the thing, like because black people maybe black people in this country more often than not do support the Democratic Party, but thing is they might not necessarily be in line with all things Democratic. There are
Of course.
there are black folks who are under the tent of the Democrats. Conservatives when it comes to certain issues. This is who they are. You know, they but
Well,
no,
brother,
I'm sorry. My bad. I was like, I don't know what the hell was that. I apologize. But like I said, like they need to understand that. Look, we're not one thing. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, we are like looking at the Democratic Party. It's a big tent. There's a lot of people it covers. You know what I'm saying? You know, and thing is, it sometimes it begets the messages get crossed up sometimes. It's like with the situation now with some of these protests where you have people aligning themselves with Black Lives Matter, but at the same time they're trying to push or change the agenda around. You know what I'm saying? Whereas you have like the Antifa folks and everything like that. Which guess what? I'm all for the Antifa folks in a certain sense because I'm like, look, anti-fascism sounds like a great idea. Now the thing is, the breaking of the property and all this stuff. I'm like, look, who's breaking what property and for what cause? You know what I'm saying? Like, and who's burning down who? You know. But like I said, underneath a huge tent, so many. It's like think about it like a huge umbrella. There's so many people under the umbrella. Sometimes we try. We're not sure who's holding the pole in the middle. You know, and it could. And at this point, Black Lives Matter is holding the pole, which is the Democratic Party. But at the same time, that could switch up to somebody else. You know what I'm saying? You know, like truth be told, I believe like the people who are the people behind the Democratic push are right now are most likely black women. I think black women are like not for nothing vote democratically. You know, was it 90% of the time, 80 to 90% of the time within the last 30 or 40 years. I read that somewhere, but but it's not to say that all those black women are the same woman. But they just realized, look, like my best interest is to go with the people, not walking around with Nazi flags and calling me the N-word behind my back and riding with the Dixie flag. That's just it. I'm okay with that, you know.
Well, I think that's where we have to start doing. We have to do our due diligence and research. So what I did in the comments, I actually put all the presidential candidates that we have because we do have more than two. We actually have four. So I do want you to be able to do your due diligence and research that. But also a couple of things that we do have to think about, and Sean actually put it up here. The largest demographic is the people who don't vote. So when you talk about misrepresentation, a couple of things. Census, we talked about already. 2, people not exercising their ability to vote, but also realizing that we are a republic. I talk about that too. But who you have at the lower level also matters. Just voting for a president means nothing because they're really more of a figurehead. But you need to do your due diligence and research on who really is what. There's a lot of things that's in that. Yes, there are two parties, but in these two parties, Black women still suffer the most in healthcare disparities. Black men are still being incarcerated. Black men are still being killed for being unarmed. It is still dangerous to be Black. So why I'm telling you is very important, because maybe if the people who are not voting would look at other options, they may find another option. But assuming that there isn't another option is very dangerous without action. The next thing I will say about that is you might be the agent of change. Meaning you might be the person that needs to run for office. You might be the person that needs to get on a council or a cabinet and things like that. Because a lot of people have great ideas who are sitting at home doing absolutely nothing. And we call it criticizing, but it's really scrutinizing and spectating. So we definitely want to make sure that we are empowering the strength that is within us to do our due diligence, to learn a little bit. I actually put a quiz in there so you can look at, see like what political sides do you kind of lean more towards. So that way you can kind of see what your interests really are, because there are a lot of things that are happening, guys, in the government. And you want to make sure you kind of have a knowledge of some of them.
Right.
That is a little bit more than just, just simple policy. It is a lot of other areas and a lot of arms that we haven't really researched, and it's time to do our due diligence. One of the things I do agree with is the representation of Black people right now is extremely high. This is a great opportunity. Don't mismanage the representation. Use it as an opportunity to leverage those things that our ancestors fought so hard for us to have. And I say this a lot because people talk about the millennials. The one thing that you have to give millennials credit for is that they actually were the first to actually do a pan movement. Their movement went across the entire globe, and everybody joined together to say what happened in America, or what is happening in America to Blacks is wrong. Then it looked at other countries to make sure. Like you had people in Russia saying that Black Lives Matter. I would say in Russia because it's like 1% Black.
Oh, yeah.
They're like 1% Black there. And they don't even have Blacks there. People in Finland were having marches and movements because they understand that what is happening right now is not good. So now that you have this opportunity, what are you going to do with it?
Right.
It's time to stop having the same conversation. It really is. David said, to be clear, I'm not saying we all have to be 100% alike because we are all Black. Oh, because he said up here, Black people will always strengthen our power by creating subgroups and not banding together. That's a word.
But there's so many groups. But I'm okay. My thing is there's powers within the groups and everything like that. I mean, there's so many, but there's so much power in the groups. My thing is I'm okay with that.
His ball was coming together.
Like my thing is, can we is it possible to be a split monolith? You know what I'm saying? Because that's pretty much what we are. We are a monolithic split. Of so many things. We represent so much. Now the thing is, but the way because the way it's always been taught to me is if it's like an injury to one is an injury to all. If they're not getting justice, then their injustice is your injustice to a certain point. Yes, if they don't get over, guess what? Who they come for next? You. That's all. That's the way it's always been taught to us. And I take that in. So, but for the most part, I not to get political or anything like that, but welcome back. But not to get political, but
hardest time over here, man. I tell you.
I may swing left, but I'm a registered independent, and and here's why. Because thing is, I do feel that a Democratic Party can sometimes just take the black vote for granted, and they just know that black vote will always be there. And I'm like, no, because guess what? If Michael Bloomberg was talking the right thing, and he can push through an agenda, which is what he did post 9/11 up here, and everything. And thing is, he switched parties while he was in office. I'm like, I voted for him too, And my thing is, I want to get the person in office who's talking sense, regardless of party. You know what I'm saying? So, to a point, regardless of party. If you're talking sense and it makes sense all the way through, whereas and it's not necessarily crushing or bashing someone, unless those people are Nazis. That's my 2 cents on it.
So with that being said, right, and I agree with you. I agree with you full.
Fellas.
They done took it all the way there.
Yeah. With that being said, then how do we now feel about? Now, I don't know if it's necessarily I don't think it's like we said, we're not a monolith. I don't know if it's a collective group thought thing, or if it's literally just what has naturally occurred, like we saw in the last election, where a lot of people opted out of voting. A lot of people just said, not going to do it. Don't like that. Don't like this. Just not going to get involved with it. This ain't for me. Neither one of these choices are for me. Now, if it was, I think it's. I personally think it's a reactionary thing, right? And I think I don't think it's going to be as drastic this next election coming November as it was last election, with a lot of people not voting. But it has certainly given both parties a huge wake-up call. You see Republicans scrambling to collect the black vote and to collect more than I've ever seen in my lifetime. They're scrambling to collect black celebrities and things of that nature, and black pundits and a Blexit or whatever you want to call it. But on the Democratic side, they're not accustomed to the black voters being so critical. And so, like, hey, what do you guys got going on over here? I don't think they're used to us being so open-eyed as to what's really going on in the political scheme of things. And to utilize our vote as a tool, like, listen, we're just not going to vote for either one of y'all. How about that? And we're not just going to hand you over our vote just because we're supposed to. Now, do we think that's a good thing, or do we think that's a bad thing?
I think that's a horrible thing to think that while you were going in and out, we talked about the problem why this is happening is people, for some strange reason, and we got to break the ignorant curve, they only think that there's only 2 political parties. And that's not true.
Absolutely.
There's actually up to 6 political parties. We got 4 candidates right now, and the people who don't vote make up the largest demographic.
Yeah.
And if they would vote for any one of those other parties, that would change the game. But a lot of people don't believe that. I have actually heard somebody say, well, I'm voting for the lesser of 2 evils. Be like, no, it's 4. It's 4. It's 4 that you look. You gonna go 50% or you gonna go a quarter? And they were like, well, I'm not gonna waste my vote on them because I know they're not.
They make a false equivalent.
People who are not voting would vote. Is my point.
They make the same equivalent. They think not voting and voting for Ralph Nader is the same exact thing. You might as well be not voting. And they call it, this whole splitting the vote thing and all that stuff. That's why it was so frustrated with Bernie last election. The Democratic Party, because of how he was being stubborn, and they thought he was doing the wrong thing. And then that other cat, I forget the other guy. There was a third party guy last election also that people had gripes with. But it's just it's what we have been trained to do and the way we have been trained to think for forever in this political spectrum right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, but now people are waking up to that. I think people are waking up to the fact that there are other parties and there are other options. And especially people are waking up now to local politics. You know, they're realizing what is actually important is actually your local politicians is the most important out of anybody.
Oh, absolutely. Everything, all politics is local. Everything is grassroots. You know, alderman, state senator. You know, your council seats. Whoever sits on the uh, community boards. These community boards. I mean, geez, you might as well be like a pimp or something like that. Sitting on these because these guys could sit on there for nearly like 15, 20 years. Like just making haphazard decisions that be affecting the whole community. And the thing is, your community could be either a transient community where like people come and go, or you could have certain spots like here, like in New York, where you have people who lived in building for years, and the next thing you know, you have these developers come in and try to knock down, and clear out buildings, and trying to move people out just so they can up the price because guess what? It's trendy now. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, and all because somebody's sitting on a community board. You know what I'm saying? And pretty much sitting down and shaking hands with some of these developers. This is how this is done, and you need to get involved. You need to open your eyes to it, and it's not just like, oh well, he's a Democrat, I'll go with, or she's a Democrat. No, it's oh, they're speaking sense to it. And thing is, guess what? They're like, if they are speaking to my needs, I need to run with them. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the way this thing works, or should work.
I had someone from Australia, a group in Facebook, tell me they're in solidarity with me, knowing Black Lives Matter. That's dope. I forgot to tell you guys, on September 21st, Dwayne Garnett, will be officially inducted into the Cultural Arts Society of Fuquay Varina. So I'll be on that board doing my part. Look at me, not a hypocrite.
Do your job. Do your job. Do your job.
So that's one of the things that is big to us. If we want to change, if we want to change the constructs, we got to start deconstructing it by being part of the ones who are basically projecting a narrative. And I definitely want to do my part. So we got to transition to our last topic of the day. Thank you, Mom. Look at Mama talking about congratulations, baby. Mama up there in Brooklyn with y'all right now because she's stuck with my brother. Thank you. So the last topic is, which is gonna just drive us on out. We're gonna see, is what is manhood in 2020?
Ooh. Dang.
In 2020.
Oh, y'all quiet now.
No,
I was very interested to hear what Remick got to say.
I don't know. I mean, manhood. There are like I said, there are the classic standards of manhood still stand true. You know what I'm saying? I think being and for me, being a gentleman overall. You know what I'm saying? Patience. All that stuff does matter. But at the same time, there's manhood does evolve. There's a couple. The archetypes of like being John Wayne and everything like that that don't play anymore. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes manhood has a man bun. I don't know.
Hey, I'm gonna get one.
Let's not disparage man buns. All right, I'm long hair club over here. Let's relax. Let's relax a little bit.
It's a sad club, is what I'm saying.
So what you got? What you got?
Manhood, definitely, as Remy alluded to, is manhood is definitely a term and an ideal that has probably evolved more in the past decade than it ever has any other decade. You know what I'm saying? There's such a large spectrum of what it means to be a man. I think men nowadays are really figuring out who they are and where they come from and why they are indoctrinated with certain so-called aspects of being a man, or what it means to be a man, what you're supposed to do as a man, how you're supposed to raise your kids, how you're supposed to treat your wife, how you're supposed to look to society, what type of job you're supposed to have. All of those things are changing and are turning on their head. Um, and that all comes with a lot of mental health awareness. So like all the I think the strangleholds that were put on a lot of us growing up of just being misogynistic and like that extreme end of the spectrum of so-called manhood, those things are kind of getting unlocked for a lot of us. The fact that we even, the four of us here and several other gentlemen in the chat room, having conversations like we're having is proof of an evolution of our thought processes and our psyches, you know? So manhood in 2020 is kind of just, to me, a shrug emoji. Who actually knows what manhood even really means? You know
It's
what I'm saying? It means, just like I don't think it's a traditional thing anymore. I think it means just so much more than it used to. It's more of an individualistic aspect nowadays.
not too
He said
individualistic.
manhood. David said manhood in 2020 is being steadfast to the traditional meaning, but also listening more, learning more, and sharing what we've learned with those who are coming behind us. What you got?
Go ahead.
So for manhood in 2020, I will say that it's one of the things, one of the biggest things to me is realizing that despite what society tells us, we are more than just who we're with, what we do, and what responsibilities we choose to take on as we go further in life. Like men we are complex beings who experience the full spectrum of emotions, who have issues, mental, physical, emotional, all that. We are more than just robots who eat, sleep, and do other things. So that's manhood in 2020 is realizing that there's just more to being a man, and also that there's more to being a man than the individual aspect. When your manhood is realizing that you affect the environment around you and the people around you, and that being the best man that you can be is not just for yourself, it's also for those who you interact with, who you're connected to, and also those who may look up to you and one day or currently following your example, not just your kids or people in your blood family, but those neighborhood kids who may be your neighborhood nephews and nieces, like that. So manhood is just, if I was going to describe manhood in 2020, I would say that manhood is more. So it's more than tradition. It's more than just the aspect of being born with a certain set of genitalia or certain anatomical things. It's more. Manhood is more.
Right. I was going to touch on what you said with about the whole idea of like grazing folks. It's the silent mentorship, as I like to call it. Like people see you, and then they take it in their head. It's like, oh, well, that's cool, or oh, well, he does it, and they just put that into their arsenal of like, well, that's what a man does, And the thing is like, you need to understand that like you're always being watched. You're always being watched as a man. So
now when I talk about like all of those things, you're always being watched, being role models to people that you don't even know you're a role model to, right? And things like you said, we have these conversations and we pass along this information throughout the generation. Those have been constants, I feel. You know what I'm saying? Those are a constant thing. And when I talk about individualism, I'm talking about how men in 2020 are more introspective than ever before. I feel this has been the decade of introspection, let alone this year. This year has definitely been a lot of introspection, So that's what I allude to when I talk about it's more of an individualistic thing. A lot of men that I know are searching out information to find out who they are and what they come from, not just genetically, but mentally, you know what I'm saying, and spiritually, where do they come from and where they're going.
I definitely agree with you, and I'm just going to add to that. because you already laid the food down there. I'm just gonna put a little seasoning on it. 'Cause it's there. I will say collectively, individually, we're doing our part to make a collective impact.
Right.
And I agree with that. And then what I was going to add to that, I just think that manhood in 2020 is a heightened sense of awareness and integrity to anyone who identifies as being a male. And that's what it is. Like, now we have a responsibility and understand it. And people are being more aware of, what do I need to do? What is my part? So manhood is just a heightened sense of awareness now. Like, no more saying, oh, you talked about misogyny before. Now we checking dudes like, dude, you know that was like,
Right.
come on. And that is a beautiful thing. And you have more men showing love. Like, the whole reason why we have this show was to make it normalized to show, because only in America now, men struggle with this affection thing. If you go overseas and look at it, dudes holding hands and everything, laughing and all of that. But
it's vulnerable.
No, we changing the narrative, and it's okay to say love you, and it's okay for men to get together.
Vulnerability is not a word that that was put into the American lexicon of like what a man is. Like, but being vulnerable in social spaces like this, where you just put it out there, like, this is how I feel. Regardless, I may be standing on an island alone, but this is who I am. Vulnerability is part of manhood too, and embracing that.
That's very, very true. And that's very dope. The comment I see here, Mr. Stevie Martin, manhood in 2020 has to go beyond strength and dominance.
Absolutely.
Strength and strengthen your tears and dominance in your embrace.
Yeah. So, guys, we done made up our time that we lost. But this is the time that we do what is called Positive Brother Shout Out. Well, we take this opportunity to shout out brothers who are making positive moves. This is not necessarily in the community, but also just those who are working hard, don't ever really get the recognition and all of that. Sean sent me a text on talking about, you a cool brother. He'll like to hang out with you.
Listen, man, I appreciate that. I'm so sorry for the technical issues I was having today. That was such a disappointment, man.
So just take a moment to shout out, some brothers, that you think that are doing great things, and you just want to let them know that they recognize. Remy, you can go ahead and start since you're up at the
top. First of all, I always want to thank one of the true tried and true people that I've met in my life, Coach Ted Gustus. He raised, like, outside of my biological father, who I love and everything like that. Ted Gus has raised men, and still does to this day, because he used to be a basketball coach and everything like that. And now he just pretty much counsels men now and everything. And he does great things. So shout out to Ted Gustus. I got love for him. He's done a lot for me, and I couldn't be the man that I am today because without him. So,
Santo. So, Coach, thank you for what you did for our brother.
Definitely.
He up here giving knowledge and all that other great stuff, sitting by the window. Didn't even skip a beat when the ambulance came by. That's good.
Yeah. That's a regular sound effect and all. That's a regular sound effect.
It just drives home my point. But
we get worried if we don't hear the ambulance or the fire truck. Then we start getting worried. Like, what is going on? Why is not
Yeah. They're on strike.
Santo, who you got?
As corny as simplistic as it might be, I would like to give a huge shout out to my good brother Reverend Benice right there. He's been doing this show for 2 years. March was supposed to be our 2-year anniversary party, but then things occurred. But a very huge shout out to your brother Rodney White, man, who put me on to you and set up this whole connection here. He knows. Shout out to Black on Black, the
Black
brand. I purchase something probably every other week now. I just think that Rodney White is probably one of the most enlightened brothers I've met in probably the past 5 years. Like every time I speak to him, I'm kind of wild. And I'm seeing the same thing with you now. It's like, wow, I get it. I get why he thought this would make sense, because he understands the kind of thinking pattern that Remick and I try to have. You guys, have no cuss words, so there's that. Like, but we still positive. But when you come on our show, it's gonna be a little bit not so nice.
Mama gave you a shout out and she said she love your shirt. She gonna support her kids.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
You, bro.
Okay, so as always, every week, first things first, shout out my bro Jay, because we started this thing 2 years ago, and we've been going strong ever since. We didn't know what we were gonna do, how it was gonna go when we first started, but we did it, and so it's blossomed into something very lovely. So I definitely love being up here with my brother every week, rain, sleet, snow, depending on how much snow and sleet. But no,
you came sliding down.
Yeah, you're right. So shout out to my brother Jay. Shout out to you two Positive Brothers, because y'all came on here and we had a great show. We exchanged a lot of good points and talked to the people. Shout out to you Positive Brothers as well, because y'all all the way up top, 8 hours, 9 hours away doing y'all thing, but we connected. So shout out to y'all. Also shout out to all the new brothers that are on the live today. DP, or David Person, as his name, but we call him DP. And Ricky, he was on last week, but all the new brothers that are on the live, shout out to y'all for coming on, offering your input and offering your support. And the last thing I want to say is shout out to all the brothers who are model men in their community and who knowingly impact other people in their community, the neighborhood uncles, the neighborhood grandfathers, all that stuff. My Uncle Marcus, Uncle Antoine. My Uncle Marcus is our Uncle Marcus is the neighborhood uncle.
Selfish.
Hey man, it's a little habit, but he is the neighborhood uncle where he is in Henderson. I mean, everybody knows him. The younger people look up to him because he's older, but he's also can relate due to having nephews like Jay and myself and Keon. But he can relate to the younger generations, and also he can still bring. He's like a gap bridger. So shout out to all the brothers like that who are in the community are the gap bridge, because that is what we need. Gap bridge who come and speak to both sides of their generations, the older and the younger, with respect, and who can promote understanding. So that's what I got.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Definitely agree. Bro, like I tell you all the time, I would not have done this had it not been you, because this is definitely not within my wheelhouse of what I wanted to do. 2 years for us will be in November. And so I thank you for everything that you guys have been doing. But also, man, had it not been for this show, it would have not pushed Love is Terrible as far as it did. Because of this show, this is how we ended up being in 30 countries around the world. This is how it brought even more awareness, but also it helped me even become more confident in what it means to be a man in my masculinity, and help my brothers who are hurting and allow my brothers to help me. So the brothers who are on, man, it's at a point like Sean, man. Sean, we talk every morning. We got a good morning. He got a good morning text. How you feeling? And we do that to each other. Me and Cordell talk every single day. Me and Kerwin talk every single day. Me and Stevie talk every other day. Me and Van talk every other day. Never in my life have I talked to this many men, and now me and Ricky talk every day. And it's a beautiful thing to have brothers that are constantly reminding you of your purpose, constantly reminding you that you're making a difference. So, brothers, thank you, because it's been rough doing a lot of the things that we've been doing and going through a layoff, taking care of a family, running a nonprofit, still working a job while looking for a job, and not trying to skip a beat, man. So thank you, brothers, for constantly encouraging me, constantly being there. You guys make it. And I do agree. My brother Rodney is pretty dope. But Mama Dope was the fourth born. The third one was all right. But I also thank my brothers Daryl and Vincent, who are also there for me, but also my younger brothers, Tramel and Mike, I thank you for being there, Junior. I thank you for being there, my bonus brothers. I thank you guys for all being there because y'all are great men that are all doing great things.
Yeah.
And then you guys.
Yep.
I'm glad that y'all are added to the Brother Empowerment Network because we're going to have you on because y'all talk. Santo, you talk about me being long-winded. That's the robots of yours, sir.
I can't.
You ain't gonna say, you pulled out some stuff and ran.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm about to call you the professor.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Bro, you came with the heat, and then you think I'm playing. I was looking at you and I say, this man is dropping knowledge. And the ambulance came by. He didn't look out the window.
Nope.
It wasn't for me. It was in my ambulance. You know what I'm saying? So I'm good. I drank my black seed oil. You know what I'm saying? I did my burpees this morning and everything like that. You know, I'm gonna be all right. I'm gonna be all right.
Well,
I'm a little hot. I'll be all right.
Yep. All jokes aside, though, we're gonna have to get you brothers back on because
Absolutely,
I definitely,
man. I can't wait
to hear that and coming from a different perspective as well.
Yep.
And so, for you guys who are viewing, we want to thank every last one of you guys for viewing. We want to thank you for supporting, and we want to thank y'all for even staying here, keeping Santo company while we had our technical issues.
Yeah.
Yes, Mama. Both of them are in New York. I met them because of Rodney. Both of them are here in New York. Both of them in New York, Mama. I'm about to call y'all, but I thank you guys, everybody, for being on and share this with a brother that may need this or a sister who may need this. And like we say every show, every week, if you feel like nobody in this world loves you, you just met 4 people who truly do love you, reach out to us, connect with us at loveistheparable.com. And we hope to see you guys next week. Hey, you guys stay on. All right, guys, we'll see you.